Hi, welcome to the Knitting Samurai Plus One video podcast. I'm your host, Steph. This is episode 87, Intergalactic, Planetary, and I think that's it. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I'm a little bit hoarse, so I've been trying not to talk all day to conserve myself for you because I've done so much knitting lately and I just want to share it with you, and I don't want to put off recording. And we knew that there was going to be an opportunity for me to sit down quietly tonight at home. And so I'm just going to push through it. So hopefully you don't mind listening to me with my little bit of gravelly voice going on here. And I've got my water, so hopefully I won't cough too much in your ears. But I wanted to give you an update. This past weekend, it's funny, we've lived in our condo for 8 years. Yeah, 8, 9 years, I don't know, it's been a while. And the reason we bought this condo was because of the colors. I loved it when we moved in. That whole entry foyer area was this terracotta color. The living room was this great slate blue. The kitchen, a really great wine color. The upstairs bedroom, ours is yellow. There was teal in the second bedroom. What other colors were there? It was a really dark green. Anyways, all these colors, and slowly over the last 8 years, we've painted out the rooms to make them more basic. So when Roland was born, that bedroom became Irish Mist, which was basically a light gray. Our room is still yellow. I love that. The sun shines into our room, and it's so bright in there. And we have a sitting room set up in there with a recliner and a desk and a TV, and I spend a lot of time up there hanging out, or I did. And when I was on maternity leave with Roland, that's where I spent almost the entire 3 months, was upstairs. Just because of the sunlight, it's so pleasant up there. Well, our bedroom is on top of the living room. And the living room is the room that had the slate blue walls, and it just felt like such a cave in here. The sun would set and the light would come in, but then the rest of the day, it was so dark in the mornings, it was so dark in the evenings. So this weekend, I acted like the pigeon. This is what we kept referring to me as. Just saying, "Hey, Mac, no thank you. Leave the camera alone." Sorry. You know, Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus, that book. If you're familiar with it, I was like the crazy pigeon when he's like, "Just let me drive the bus." So that was me saying to Steve, "Just paint the living room. I don't want it to be blue from my maternity leave because I'm going to be alone this time." I wasn't alone last time. He was home with me. And so he was like, "Fine, I'll paint it." So my living room, well, except for this wall, but this wall matches. The opposite walls are, instead of being slate blue, are now a lovely cream color. Nice and boring and so bright, reflects the sun. It's lovely. I'm thrilled. So that's what has been going on with us. I put some pictures up on Instagram of him doing it, and I'll put some more once he gets the plates back on the wall, the light switch and all that stuff. I do need to get a new piece of artwork from that wall. I did have a long, anyways, it doesn't match anymore. It was beige with the blue looked really pretty, but beige with cream is not going to be nice. So I have to find something new. So that's going on. And then my other little thing to update you about, oh, where's my timer? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, when my timer goes off, it'll go crazy, and we'll go crazy together looking for it. Other thing, so Roland has been saying his ABCs all the time. I don't think I talked about it last week, but I did manage to get him to sit down, and I took a little video of him reciting them. So I want to share that with you because I'm his mother, of course I'm proud, but I think it's so cute. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, M, L, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I know my ABCs. Next my notes so sing his me. Yeah. And then the last bit of updating about us that I want to do is that baby is coming, right? Impending doom. I am week 33, so technically 7 weeks to go. I'm alright if it's 5. but I did see my midwife last week, and she's really, really pleased, just comparing this pregnancy to the last one, to Roland's. When I was pregnant with Roland, by this point my blood pressure was through the roof. I had gained a lot more weight, and they were having me come in for observation a couple times a week for the non-stress test. So she was just like, great job, keep doing whatever it is you're doing, you're thumbs up. So I just think it's my body's handling it better this time around. I don't think I'm doing anything all that different, maybe eating a little less ice cream, but yeah, so that's my update. So if you're keeping track at home, 7 weeks to go, and then it'll be maternity leave, and we'll see what the recording schedule is going to be. I'm still going to try for every 10 days. I'm thinking you guys are going to be my little sanity check on those days when I'm home with the baby, but who knows how well I'll do with notes and scheduling and editing, and it all takes time. So that's enough blather about what's going on with us. Let's talk about some knitting, shall we? So if you've watched me for a while, you know I go on these jags where I'm just totally into something and I knit, I mass produce a whole bunch of it. You know, baby hats, baby blankets, the vest that I did not that long ago. Well, I hit one of those jags on sock knitting. So I'm really enthusiastic about sock knitting right now. I think it sort of hit me that if one of my goals for 2014 is to knit 14 pairs, I need to get on that, because once thing 2 arrives, I don't know how much time that'll be. I mean, sock knitting is easier to do. It's throw down and go pick it back up later. But yeah, so I'm kind of like, okay, let's bang out as much of this as I can right now. So and plus I was falling behind with the Stockinette Zombies no long. So anyways, to that end, I finished the opal socks that I had been holding back on. I sort of got to a, like, past the point of no return where I was just running downhill knitting on them, and so I turned the heel. I think I had one heel done, maybe I turned both heels, I don't know, but there they are finished. They the heels are not the same, but otherwise they match up pretty well. So really pleased with how these turned out. They are a gift, but this is my 3rd pair if you're keeping track. So oh no, sorry Mom, don't want to talk right now. And so those are done and off the needles. These are knit with opal 4 fat, color 7126, and US size 0s, 2mm needles, 2x2 rib toe up, just the way I like to do it, with a gusset heel. So those came off the needles, right? Gusset heel. And then it sort of felt like, oh, well, dads have been languishing. I might as well put in a little time on that. And we did something. We were riding around with my parents. It's been a bit of time in the car with them recently. And I just brought these. And Dad doesn't pay attention. He wouldn't know. Or Pepe, as Ro calls it. And so I worked on it then. I don't know, I had a big chunk of time where I just made another big push. Like the other weekend, and now they're done too. I know! 2 pairs of socks off the needles. So these do not match up. There was a break in the skein. So this is Regia Snowflake colors and color 7709. There was a break in the skein on the first one, and I thought I had lined up to the same point, and it happened, I want to say, really early on. And I didn't match it up just right in the color sequence. And so when I was knitting the second one, I wasn't going to break it and then try and duplicate that. So they don't match perfectly, that's for sure. They are just fraternal. See the white in the 1x1 rib at the top and no white over here. That's true. I do knit them. I did knit these toe up. I started with a few more stitches on the initial cast on. Usually I do 24, I did 32, so that it would have a more rounded toe instead of a pointed, yeah, anyways. So a more pointed toe, 2x2 rib up, gusset heel again. But then the last 10 rows is my sock recipe that I use for everything. Last 10 rows I did a twisted stitch for the knit one purl one for that. So through the back loop, there, that's what it's called. So I did that for both of these at the top, actually. Yeah, because I just really like the stitch definition that gives. I think it makes it really pretty. It makes for a sturdier cuff. So those are done. So those are that's my 4th pair off the needles. And then, of course, when you finish all these socks, you have to start some more. And so that's what I'm really motivated to cast on right now. And it sort of encouraged me to start a contest. So these are both, I would call it, well, this isn't muted, but it isn't crazy colored, and definitely not here. But I do really love crazy colored socks. And so I was flipping back through the socks I've knit over the years and looking at them and looking in my sock drawer upstairs. And some socks you knit and you never forget because they were so wild and crazy, and others they just, they're in and they're out and you're never going to think about them again. And so I would like to challenge you to post a picture in the thread. There's a link in the show notes, and there's a thread stickied at the top of the wrap group for the crazy, most interesting, most inspired pair of socks that you've ever knit. So post an FO picture there of the pair. And that'll get you in for a drawing to win a skein of Into the World. I have quite a bit of it, and I'm definitely not going to knit it all up, so why don't I share some of it with you, one of the club colorways. Yeah, so share what's inspired you. I put up 2 pictures. The first one, just as examples, was a yarn that I bought from a friend in the swap, or whatever, we swapped for it, and the color was just so ugly. And then I knit this pattern that had lots of short rows, and it just took forever, and I really didn't enjoy knitting them, and I knit them for myself. So they are sitting out in the gift bin, size 11 socks that I've never worn, right? But very memorable socks for me. And then there was another pair that I put up there that I knit in 2008, I think. I was sick. I knit my first pair of monkeys in 3 days. And that yarn was Rainbow Yarn. It is so loud and crazy, and I love them. They're in my heavy rotation sock drawer. The yarn has worn like crazy. Like every time I look at them, every time I wash them, wear them, they make me smile. So post some pictures of a sock that makes you smile. That's basically what I'm trying to say here. And May 2nd, which is tentatively the next time I'll record in about 10 days or so, I will pull for the winner. So get over there and do that if you'd like. But in the meantime, I wanted to participate in the What You Swatchin' Oldest Anything count. And since I had talked about, if you'll remember, Opal versus Regia, and this is new Regia. I had just bought January, I think, to knit socks for Dad. And this was Opal from December of this year, Christmas present Opal. I thought, why don't I pull out my oldest Regia? Because I remember Opal and Regia being the same in my mind in terms of quality, and I love them both. And if you remember, I had said that this Regia, my stitch definition was off. Like, I just did not enjoy working with it, versus the Opal, which is the same old I've always loved. I went to find my oldest Regia, which is Galaxy color. I bought this back in 2009, so this is my oldest Regia. I think it's one of my probably 2 or 3 oldest skeins of sock yarn, if it's not the oldest that I have not knit, like leftovers. Sure, I've got some older leftovers, but it was definitely when I first started knitting socks. And the yarn shop that I bought this from in Portsmouth has been sold, and then it closed. Like, it was sold to a new owner. She kept it open for 2 or 3 years, and then it closed. So that's kind of sad. But this yarn is Galaxy, Intergalactic, Planetary. I don't know why. A lot of the colors I'm working with right now have Galaxy in the name, and so that just got my brain going that way. So I cast on, again, 32 stitches just to get a more rounded toe, and toe up 2x2 rib, because that's my basic, on US zeros, 2mm needles. I cast on both, oh, this one's a better one to show you, both of the toes, and was working on them. That one actually looks a lot better. And so this is called Galactic because, can you see it? These like exaggerated C shapes of pink and orange inside amongst the red, which is so funny to me. But I bought this yarn and I looked at other people's projects before I cast it on, so I knew why it was called Galaxy. Traditional like pooling or spotting. Pooling? What's the other word for that? Anyways. would drive me crazy stacking, color stacking. But the fact that they dyed this intentionally, I think it looks great. Part of it, I think, is that it's tonal too. It's not like a wildly variegated difference between the two colors. But I was really excited to see how the C's zigzags were gonna come out. So hopefully you can see that. I know I'm a bit away from you, but that's how I look the best these days. So here's what I have to say about this yarn from 2009 that I think I got on a discount even, so it might be older than that, but that's when it entered my stash, was in 2009. So it's 5 years old. Oh my goodness. Wow, yeah, definitely time to start knitting with it. And it's exactly like the opal. So I'm gonna guess that Regia changed their base, because the content's the same, but the I bet if I did a wraps Princh thing, this would be a much thicker wraps, or much lower wraps Princh. I'm not a spinner, but I think this yarn is thicker than the current Regia snowflake yarn that I bought, that I will not be buying again. So that's my sock knitting. And isn't that a great color? Don't you love it? There's, I have some other red pink yarn that I'm going to cast on pretty quick here. But I am just loving knitting socks right now, so indulge me. Knit socks with me. I know, I feel a wee bit guilty because I've, 2x2 sock knitting isn't that exciting for you to watch, but 2 weeks from now, I was thinking about this, and it's like I record every 10 days. If I'm on a sock jag right now, and it lasts a month, you'll have to look at them 3 times. I think it's okay. So, the Martina Bem Tubularity that is picking up steam across Ravelry, I didn't touch it. So here it is, untouched. It's going back in the bag. But I will. And actually, I saw several people finished Miss Winkles, the Martina Bem one with the loops on it. And I have one about halfway finished that I had knit a year ago, less than a year ago in August, so 10 months ago. And I made it about halfway through, and so I'd kind of like to finish it. It's a really pretty yarn. It's a sparkle yarn. No makers. The only no makers I have. So anyways, that might come out of hibernation as well. So since I finished all those socks, I was thinking about what else. Looking at my project page, what else can I finish up that's a whip that would give me some instant gratification. And so last winter I did cast on 3.5 pairs of these Peekaboo Mitts. Peek Mitts? What are they called? I grabbed it. Peekaboo Mitts by Gabby Giorgio. And Abby Giorgio, not Gabby, Abby. Gabby's one of our old teachers. And I had just I finished 3 of them. Completely gave 2 of them as gifts, put 1 in the gift box. And then this one guy was just hanging out. And this red is such a beautiful red. This is Dragonfly Fibers in the Traveler base. And I don't know, I'm more familiar with Madeline Tosh than I am with Dragonfly Fibers. So if you compare this to the tart color that she does, the depth of the red, the variegation in it, it's just gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So these needed to be finished and given to me. So, yeah, a couple of nights. I didn't do it all in one sitting. But I cast on, finished the second one. I had a hard time making them match perfectly just because it has been 6 months since I was working on it. But yeah, finished them off, woven all my ends. So I have these beautiful red fingerless knit on US size 7, 4.5 millimeters needles, and the colorway Ruby Ruby. So I finished that, and this skein of yarn is one of my Rhinebeck yarns. And as you know, I am trying to use them all up. All of 2014 up. And so I had a bit left. I had a bit more than this left. And I just thought I would love to knit a hat to match. So I have a nice set, because so often as knitters we make these one piece, one piece, one piece, and we never end up wearing our things as an ensemble the way you would buy it in a store. And so I thought, okay, I'll make a hat that sort of ties in. So this is Boutique Knits. I think this is one of the knitting books that I own that I've gotten the most use out of, at least the most inspiration out of. I love this book. And I maybe even talked about it before. The beaded Fair Isle hat in here by Laura Irwin is gorgeous, stunning. Okay, and so is the model, right? And maybe that's part of it, like very pretty models in here. So I thought, why don't I use this as my base, and then I'll use some other color for the Fair Isle for the contrast color work section of it. And while I'm at it, this is a beanie. Why don't I make it into a little more slouchy, because that's more the look that's popular, trending right now. So I went to my stash and I pulled out a skein of a Sacred skein. This is 3U's Twisted in Fiber. Shepherd DK. I think I have one skein of their DK yarn. So that's a yarn company that's no longer in business, Indie Dyer. Absolutely loved it. I was in their club. I've knit 3 or 4 pairs of socks with this yarn. And actually, it's so funny, just the way your brain works, and maybe it's the connection. I knit a pair of socks while I was pregnant with Roland, while listening to the Bruins playing hockey on the radio, because we didn't have cable TV at the time. Steve was in China, and I listened to the Bruins, and that was like a way that we felt close to each other. And so we listened to the games before he went to China, and then they continued and won the Stanley Cup that year. And so I listened to the, the back half, because it's like 28 games or whatever, 4 rounds. So I was knitting 3U's Twisted in Fiber at that time, and lo and behold, we're into Stanley Cup playoffs time again, and something in my brain just said, oh, why don't you knit with this yarn instead of saving it forever? So it's a DK weight self-striping yarn that I think is really pretty, and it's called Galactic Storm. Another galactic, right? So I brought that out. I took my size 7s that I had just finished. Actually, I went down to size 6s for the brim, and I cast on. And here's what I have so far. So I thought it would look like progressive color work or whatever. When I've knit Fair Isle in the past, I've done the color changing from like dark green to light green to pale green to white to gray to green again. So I thought, well, this is a self-striper, 3 colors. It'll just look like that, shifting along through the pattern. And I'm afraid that it is so dark in here that you are not seeing the beautifulness of this. But trust me when I say to you that the color work looks great. So I added, how many stitches did I add? I added an extra repeat to the pattern. There you go. So that it would be a looser fitting hat, because I'm not one for beanies. And I'll probably add, the chart itself is like 20 rows, and then you start doing crown decreases, so I'll probably add just some of the like fleur-de-lis patterns, maybe once or twice throughout at the top, because it'll fit in with the design of the Fair Isle itself. And then hopefully that'll give me enough length, and I'll go down and I'll do the crown decreases at that point. But yeah, so I really like how it's coming out. I worked on it yesterday while Roland was napping in the car. And what was I listening to? Stuff You Missed in History Class. I really like that for an audio podcast. But I do like learning new things, so, and it's very intriguing to me. So this is the beaded Fair Isle hat. Yes, by Laura Irwin. We went to get beads. I couldn't find beads. Didn't work out for the beads. No beads. No beads in my version. But I do have plenty of the red to finish the hat, and then I'll have some left over of the striper too. But and look at how perfect they go with my Think 1 and Think 2 bag. Yeah. So that's going on right now. Can you hear my throat getting really, really, really dry? Okay. I think that's all I have to show you that's on the needles. The Vivid is still not getting any love. This is what happens. I binge and then I don't want to look at it anymore. So maybe this week is the Vivid's week to come back out. Yeah, my sockhead hat is hibernating. I want to knit socks. I'm going to knit socks now. That's all right with you. And I think that's it. So go post pictures, inspire me, each other with your crazy socks, and enjoy what's going on in your knitting world. Thanks so much for joining me. I know you can watch a lot of podcasts out there. I actually just downloaded or subscribed to I think 10 or 15 new ones, because I'm prepping for maternity leave and I want to have lots of knitting chatter in my life while I'm out of the workforce for that time period. So, and I'll tell you what I think of them as I listen to them. But yeah, so thanks for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And if you would like to go leave a star ratings on iTunes, that would also be appreciated. So that's it. I'll see you in about 10 days or so. Happy knitting. Enjoy what's going on with you. Take care.